Hello, 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 everybody. Happy Friday Eve to you. It's Adra Young with the Cooks and Books Show. I hope that everybody's having an extraordinary week, and the weather here in Michigan has been fabulous. And you know, for us Michiganders, we have to take advantage of that weather because soon the snow will fall upon us. Please excuse my voice. I'm losing it. For those who keep up with me and know about my employment status, you know that I'm a full-time teacher. And usually going back to work, sometimes in the beginning, my voice, it kind of goes in and out. But we're going to get through this show. I have a very special guest, a great lady. We're going to be talking to her today. She has a lot of great things going on outside of the fact of being a great author. She is a blogger. So let's talk about Miss Marie Lavender. Miss Lavender lives in the Midwest with her family and 3 cats. Meow. She's been writing for over 20 years. She has more works in progress than she can count with 2 hands. At the age of 9, she began writing stories. Her imagination fueled with a lot of early child's play. Even growing up, she entered writing contests and even received a certificate for achieving the second round and won. She majored in creative writing in college because that was all she ever wanted to be, a writer. While there, she published 2 works in the university publication and was a copy editor to the staff on the online student journal. After graduating from college, she sought out her dream to publish a book. Since then, Marie has published 17 other books. Wow. Marie Lavender's real love is writing romances, but she has also written mysteries, literary fiction, and dabbled a little bit in the paranormal stories. Most of her work have romantic elements involved in them. She's currently working on the Harris and the Love series. Without further ado, everyone, let's give it up to author Marie Lavender. Marie, are you here, dear?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, how are you? Hello?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Marie. Thank you so much, and welcome to Urban Nation Radio, darling. I was reading your bio. It is great. Okay, I know we've known each other for some time, but I had no idea that you had authored 17 books. So
actually, it's 19.
Wow, 19 books. That's amazing. That is amazing. So let's get into the latest book. And I believe the latest book, is that Upon Your Honor?
That's correct.
Okay, tell us about that.
Upon Your Honor is set in the Victorian times. It's about a young woman who she's trying to escape something that's going on at home. So she stows aboard a ship, and then, of course, she thinks that she can hide there, but, you know, someone's going to find her. A gentleman and a sailor, he comes across her, and he promises to escort her to New Orleans, where she thinks she'll be safe because her grandmother lives there. But what she ran away from at home is actually pursuing her. So
wow, so she was running away from something that was going on at home, and ended up in the situation that that is how she ended up in the situation that she's currently in the book. Okay, so 19 books. Tell us how you got there, because you're still a young tender, you know. You're still young. 19 books. That's a wonderful accomplishment.
I'm sorry, did you say how did I do that?
No, I'm saying that's a wonderful accomplishment. I mean, 19 books. You know, some of us could say I've done 1, 2, maybe 10, but almost 20. You know, that you are to be, how can I explain it? You ought to be very proud of yourself, and I'm just reading your bio. I'm proud of you too. So the first book was written when? How long ago?
2010 it was published. So yeah, it hasn't been too long, but
no, it hasn't.
It feels like it's been forever, I guess, you know.
Yeah. Okay, so the first book came out in 2010. So what did you do? Decide to write 3 books per year after that to get to 20? I'm just curious.
Well, technically, I started in 2010. I just thought, let's publish a book. And I started doing the self-publishing journey at first, and so I did about one per year at that point. And they were literary fiction, and they had a little bit of poetry mixed in with them. And after that, I thought, you know what, let's try something different, And I decided to start using pen names. And so I explored that option for a while, and I did a lot of different genres like romantic suspense and contemporary romance, and I even did like a mystery thriller.
Yeah, I see that you dabbled a little bit with the paranormal activity.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, now that takes courage, because to draw one's interest with those specific type of books, it takes one creative mind to come up with a crazy plot. So let's talk about that real quick. What was the name of that book? That book that would be classified under paranoia. Paranorma, excuse me.
Well, I have a few of them I would classify as that. Well, the first one I did was A Misplaced Life, and that was published under Catherine Lane with a Y.
Okay.
And that one was sort of like a ghost story. It was a mystery at the same time. It was actually from the perspective of a dead woman.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of my first foray into that. And then I also did a psychic one, so I would consider that kind of paranormal.
All right.
And then I did one that was about, I would say, where these two people were having recurring nightmares, and they were very similar, and they started thinking, well, something else is going on here, and they found out that, and that one was called, that one was called Terror in the Night.
Okay.
And that one was published under Erica Sutherham, and that one was about a demon that was after them. So that was definitely paranormal related.
Yeah, when you're talking about demons coming after people, and the fact that two people would have the same dream, very similar dreams about the same, whatever it is that's tormenting them in the middle of their night trying to get some rest. So I understand, Miss Lavender, you have been writing since the age of 9?
Yeah.
Okay, so did you write short stories to yourself? How did you know at the age of 9 that writing was the calling for you?
Well, I would say it kind of started out, I was a little bit younger than that when all of these, stories were playing out of my head, and, I was a little girl with a huge imagination, and I had, paper dolls and Barbie dolls, and, when I think I kind of not startled, but my family was a little bit put off by the fact that I could basically entertain myself, with that.
So in other words, you were one of those people, I don't have to necessarily have a lot of people around to entertain me. I can write and create books. And, they say that about a lot of writers, is that they have they are slightly more introverted than the average person, because they use that time to fulfill entertainment, literary entertainment for readers, for the average person, not being the actual literary artist. So, and I kind of got a little bit of that going on myself, so I can totally relate.
Yeah.
I can totally relate.
Well, I started the stories around age 9, of course, and they were short stories, and, I just couldn't, I guess, get them out of my head, so I started writing them.
how smart. They were in your head until you actually released them.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. Now, tell me about this blog, because that's how we actually met. What made you start this blog? And you helped so many people. You have helped so many people through the utilization of your literary blog. So let's talk about your blog.
Well, I actually started 2 blogs in, I think it was 2011. I started both of them. One was called Marie Lavender's Books, .blogspot. And then the other one, of course, is marielavender.blogspot, and that one I called Writing in the Modern Age. Well, I kind of didn't know what I was doing at first, and, it was just basically talking about writing, or I think for the longest time, I did not know what to put on there.
Okay.
And so I guess I just started... I started researching how to blog a little bit, and I realized that, there's not much of a market for, like, a blog that helps other writers,
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of articles out there that writers or editors are releasing, and, and that's great, but there's nothing that is specifically to help authors either promote or to help aspiring writers in their writing journeys, So I just saw that there was sort of a market for it, and I just figured, why not? And then I started asking some writers that I'd connected with, do you want to maybe put an article on there, or do you want an interview, or, what do you want to do?
Okay. So, Marie, can we get you to speak up, darling? Speak up just a little bit for the audience so they can hear you a little better.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, no problem. I don't know what you missed.
We heard. You can continue from this point, but just with a little bit more elevation and pitch.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I just did not see much of a market for it, or there was a demand for it, but I didn't see, many blogs out there that did that sort of thing. So, I mean, that's sort of how that came about, and we've had, with Writing in the Modern Age, we've had, I would say, we'd have over 80 authors, guest authors, appear on there so far.
Did you say 80 guest authors?
Yeah. Over 80.
That is spectacular. Oh, my goodness. And see, what people fail to realize is that once they write a book and they come up with a concept like you did to help other people on your blog by featuring them, interviewing them, etc., it also helped you. And I know that it did. And that would be my next question. So, adding your blog and helping other writers get to the next level they want to get to literary-wise, how has that boosted your sales with your books and helped you as a writer?
Well, I mean, I've had, a lot of people come across me in social networking, and they would say, oh, I found your blog, and it's so wonderful, and it's really helped me a lot, and... and I saw your book, and that's so cool, and things like that. And then it also kind of made me think, why not do another blog? So I launched another blog in the process, and that one's called I Love Romance Blog, and that one's specifically about romance and romance writing, or romance novels, or relationships. So I guess it's sort of, exploded into a blogging sort of thing,
Okay, so let me get this straight. You're the author of 19 books, which is awesome, by the way. You branched out into different genres of writing, romance, paranormal. Mm-hmm. You have been writing since the age of 9. You not only have one blog, but 2 blogs.
I've got 3.
You have 3 blogs.
Yeah.
Wow. So we know that one blog is that specifically catering to authors who write in the romance genre?
The one blog, Writing in the Modern Age, is for any author from any genre. So it hosts guest authors from any genre. I Love Romance blog is specifically about romance writing or romance novels, and it's also about relationships, so, just basic thoughts about love and everything. And then the Marie Lavender's books is basically just updates about my books.
Okay, so you have one specifically for you.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to take a commercial break, and we're going to be back, and then we're going to talk about what makes a great blog. And since you're such an expert in that and you have 3, we're going to ask you what should actually go on a blog to get your name out there, to get the exposure of your books. Is that okay, Marie?
Yeah, that's cool.
All right. Well, for those who are listening to Adra Young on Urban Nation Radio with the Cooks and Books Show, my special author guest is Marie Lavender. Please stay with us. We're going to take a break. Stay right here, and don't you go anywhere. I just did something. I don't know what I did. Okay, and we are back with the Cooks and Books Show with your host, Adra Young, and my special literary guest is Marie Lavender. And we left briefly, but we are back. We want to talk to this expert about how to create not just a blog, but a blog that will get you exposure help you increase and promote your books. And at the same time, if you would like to embark upon adding other authors to a blog to support them, we will get some advice from somebody that knows how to do that well. So, Marie, are you still here, darling?
I am still here.
All right. Tell the audience what makes up a great blog, the basics of how you can create a blog that will generate actual hits.
Okay.
And speak up. Don't forget to speak up.
Okay. Well, number one, I think the number one thing you can do is find a topic that really resonates with people, or like a niche, you know, in the market. Just something, you know, whether it's what happened to you that week, or maybe it's your writing, or maybe it's something like gardening or something. Something you can talk about. Something that is conversational, that people can really connect with, and, something like that. And that's the number one thing I would say. And then I would say the next thing to do is to find a host that's good, like, I've used Blogger or Blogspot. I've also used WordPress, and I find that one to be really good, actually, because you always get these notifications like, oh, someone joined your blog or something, and that's really fun, to get in your email all the time.
Yeah, WordPress will make you feel real good and happy.
Yeah.
Outstanding. You have so-and-so following you.
Yeah, so that's kind of fun, is to see, how it's progressing. And the other nice thing about WordPress is you get a lot of WordPress people following you. So, like, other WordPress blogs are following you. And, that's pretty cool, too, because you get that reference, off of them. And then I think, just dedicate yourself to doing it at least once a week, having content on there, periodically is key,
So, Marie, are you saying that every 30 days may be too long? Because I have two blogs. I do a culinary blog and a book review blog. But then I also do an educational blog. And I can be honest, let me be honest by saying that I do a blog. My educational blog is done every 30 days.
Okay.
And then my culinary and book review blog is done like bi-weekly. So I should invest more time in my educational blog, is what you're saying, to pull in more viewers, or to actually get more people to...
I would say, yeah, not to tell you what to do or anything. but I would say that, I learned this the hard way. I had blogs, when I first started, and I didn't know what to do, so I kind of ignored it for a while. And my viewers just kind of, they weren't there.
Evacuated, exactly. They fled.
Because you're not saying anything, So it's sort of like, if you're not committing to it at least once a week, or however often you think is a good time period, but I would say once a week is at least a good thing. I think people are just going to give up, and it's not, I don't know. I think that we have such short attention spans.
Yeah. Me, and I am not only the client, I am the president of that, believe you me, all day. Yes.
Yeah, so, it doesn't matter. There's tons of stuff going on in our lives, So I think if you're not getting that periodic email, like a follower does, they get an email or notification that says, oh, this is a new post, and then they kind of expect that. Like, I have one I'm following, and she's totally awesome, because, she probably does it maybe 2-3 times a week, and I have no idea how. But, she just puts these out, and they're extremely helpful tips, and her name is C.S. Lakin, Lakin, and she does these tips on writing, and it's just so awesome because it's like this happy little thing in your inbox, you know?
Yeah, but Marie, what about the individuals that work full-time jobs and write?
Yeah.
What do you recommend? What do you recommend as the ideal allotment time for a person who wants to continue to blog, but at the same time they still have to work a full-time job until they get to where they need to in the writing world?
Well, sure. You know, I totally understand. I've been there. You know, so I would say, you know, take 10, 15, 20 minutes out of your day, you know. Maybe take one day and say, okay, on Wednesday night, you know, before I go to bed, I'm going to blog, you know, something like that. So it's not going to take that much time, you know. I can compose one in, you know, an article in probably 20, 30 minutes when I'm talking about writing, but, you know, if you're just, you know, whatever you're talking about, you know, it doesn't have to take forever. You know, you can go ahead and write it ahead of time and post it later. You know, just make sure that you already have it. You have a schedule that you're sticking to, you know, and like even with blogs, you can go ahead and schedule those in advance. You can post them and pre-schedule them. Like, say you already wrote them up in advance, you can pre-schedule them. So
wait a minute, you're educating me.
Yeah.
Are you saying that I can actually type on one and pre-schedule it to actually be presented on my blog at that given time?
Yeah, on a specific day.
I got to brush up on my tech skills, Marie. I didn't know that. I'm thinking you can save it and go back to it, but I'm like, wow.
Yeah, it's stuff that I had to learn along the way, yeah. Uh-huh.
See? And that's the importance of being a writer is to make sure that you keep up with the latest technology on things that can help you make blogging easier for you. So thank you for sharing that with me and our audience.
No problem.
Yeah. Okay. So we are 19 books. Have you done any seminars? We know you got the blogs. We know you're the author of 19 books. Have you done any speaking engagements for future writers or individuals who would like to become published authors?
No, I haven't. I really haven't approached that sort of thing yet, so no, I haven't done that.
Okay. Could you please tell us what are some of writing your first book? And everybody knows that when we begin writing books, our first book is like an experiment.
Yeah.
What now at your 19th book, what have you learned from writing that very first book? Some things that you know that you might not do again because now you've done so many books, you know not to make those certain kinds of mistakes. Could you share that with us?
Yeah. I would say, well, one of the number one things is definitely research. You know, do your research. Also, invest in some kind of editing service. You know?
Yes. Oh my goodness, that's number one within itself.
Yeah, that's there's so many books out there that aren't edited, and you know it's easy not to do that. To avoid that in a way with self-publishing, but I think with self-publishing, you know, you're just as accountable to the reader, you know, to put out something of quality, and you know you have to always think about your reader. I think with everything that you do, so yeah, that's definitely important.
Absolutely. So we know editing. Anything else? What about the cover?
Well, yeah, I mean, a cover definitely sells. You want to make sure you have a good cover. I have definitely learned how to do that with self-publishing. So, you know, of course, I can go on and on about that, and I really don't want to go on and on about that in this But I have articles on that. So I mean, just look over my blogs and you'll see some tips and stuff. So.
Okay. How long, what is the norm for you to write a book? I know you said you wrote 19 and we were doing the math for some of them, but some people like me, it takes, realistically, give or take 6 months to a year. How long does it take Marie to write a book?
You're definitely right about that. An official novel is going to take, as long as it takes, really. And I would say, well, hard to admit, but upon your return, the first book of the Eris and Love series, it took a good 8 or 9 years, and I'm not kidding.
Wow, 8 or 9 years?
Well, and this was because I was beginning.
Okay.
I had that story going forever, and I think, there's fear, with a new writer. There's a little bit of fear in putting yourself out there. So I think, part of it could have been hesitance or something, but, there were things holding me back in finishing. And, of course, I didn't know how to write a book. You're basically just, winging it. And it takes as long as it takes. Now, Upon Your Return, or Upon Your Honor, second book, took about a year to write. But then, I had learned so much from the first book and, all of my other writing that I kind of figured it out, So I've had other ones take, less than a year. I think the number one thing to say about that is it depends on the author, and it depends on the story. It really depends on the story and the characters, because it will take as long as it takes,
Okay. Well, we're going to take another break, but when we come back, I want you to give some advice to individuals who have never wrote a book and some of the lessons that you've learned with writing your books and the importance of not giving up and continuing to go on with your goal to complete your book. So will you talk to us about that, Marie?
Sure.
Okay, we're going to take another commercial break on Urban Nation Radio. It is the Cooks and Books Show with your host, Adra Young. We'll be right back. Okay, we are back with the Cooks and Books Show with your host, Adra Young, and my special literary guest, Marie Lavender. Marie was going to give some tips and some words of advice to individuals who may feel like they're stuck in a rut, who want to continue with the writing process, and some things to do to get yourself back in stride again, back on track when you feel like I'm getting off this writing boat and it's not working. So, Marie, are you here?
Yes, I am here.
Okay, so you want to share some information with the audience about continuing, like you just provided some great words of encouragement by letting us know that, hey, one of your books actually took 8 years to release?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, of course, like I said, it takes as long as it takes to write something. If you feel like you can't write anymore, or, I hate for people to give up on that sort of thing, because I think there are a lot of aspiring writers out there that feel like, well, have felt at least at one point in their lives that that's their dream and they want to write, some of them do. And so, like I said, I hate for people to give up on that sort of thing, but if they just feel like they just can't do it anymore. I've had people say that to me, and I hate to hear that. So I think the best thing to do is to explore options, like maybe step away from it for a while. Like sometimes that is necessary, get some distance from it. I don't know how long, but maybe like wait a week, and then come back to it and see maybe an idea comes to you, or do free writing exercises. Free writing is when you're just thinking of stuff off the top of your head and you just write whatever you're thinking, Doesn't matter what you're thinking, just write in a steady stream, and maybe something good comes out of that. Or maybe it just gets rid of the junk in your head so that you can get to the good stuff, There are tons of writing exercises that you can do that can boost your creativity.
Could you talk more about the writing exercises that can boost the creativity? Because a lot of people say that they would get into it, but to say that you would actually get into those exercises and actually implement them are totally two different animals. So,
well, I've actually bought a few books. I would suggest Natalie Goldberg's Writing Down the Bones. I've actually read that so many times, and I actually took creative writing in college, and I had several writing professors that suggested that. It's a great book. There's another one called Bird by Bird by Anne Lamott. That's a pretty good one. There are a lot of books out there that can help you, break through some of that blockage,
Exactly. I know that I was so trying my hardest to release my middle school book on bullying in 2011, and even with the editing and having other people edit it, it just didn't. It's not even a long book. It just did not happen that way.
Yeah.
So actually, I had to step back from that book, and that book was not released until. That book was not released until 2 years later.
Yeah.
So that book was not released until 2013. So I do understand the importance of sometimes, stepping back and giving it. Yeah.
It can take a while. I mean, sometimes people, as writers, we're people too, So we go through these life experiences, and sometimes it's so emotional that, you're just stuck. You can't do anymore. Or, sometimes you're so much in your head that you're not thinking creatively or something. And, I mean, like I said, there's a lot of exercises out there. One thing to do is you just grab one line out of a book, any book, preferably whatever genre that you like, or, something. but any book, just grab a line and write it down, and then just start writing from that. Of course, you can't steal the line, but, you know, maybe it sparks some creativity, you know.
Yeah. Okay. So, all of your books have been based, are fictional. Do you ever feel like you want to dip and dab in some nonfiction writing?
Well, I would say years ago I would have told you, no, of course not. But, you know, I think a lot of things have changed. Do I want to approach nonfiction a book? Probably not. But I would say I've always been anti-journalism, but in my writing journey, I mean, at least as a published author, I've written so many articles that it's just amazing that I kind of found out I can do it, you know. I can be, well, not a reporter, but, you know, I can write articles that I thought I never could write an article, you know. You kind of put on these different hats as an author. And, you know, I don't know if I would ever write a book on it. Maybe if I compiled all the articles, and, you know, and I said, this is a writing book, a book about writing or something, maybe a reference book or something, but I don't know. Maybe not. I have, you know, I do a lot of research, historical research for my books, or I do other types of research, but I wouldn't think I'd do nonfiction.
What is your input on the ebook era that we are in now? And has that, as an author, helped you sell more books? Or would you say that you were doing about the same?
I think it's very convenient for a lot of people. You know, if they have an e-reader, then it's definitely more convenient. Personally, have I read a lot of ebooks? Yeah, probably not. I mean, I've read a few, you know, maybe like 10 or something. But, you know, I don't find it to be very convenient personally as a reader.
Okay.
I know there's a lot of people out there that do, and I recognize that as an author. So I just think that, well, as long as the industry is going in that direction, that's fine, you know, and as long as we are selling ebooks, that's fine, and I have sold a lot of ebooks, so.
That's awesome, yeah. I come to find that just having it available via ebook version does help. Mm-hmm. It does help to get some sales, Yeah. Okay, where our interview is just about up, I want you to give us your website.
Oh, okay. The website is marielavender.webs.com.
Okay, and please tell the listening audience where your books can be purchased at.
Okay. My books can be purchased on Amazon. They can also be found on the Solstice Publishing website, Create Space, Barnes & Noble, and Lulu.com.
Can we find you via social media, Marie?
Of course. I'm kind of all over the place. Yeah, I am on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Google+. Yep. So.
Okay. Well, this interview, I want to thank you for being on. And will you come back in the near future? Perhaps when the next book is out, we'll have you call back in and talk to us on Urban Nation Radio, Marie.
Well, that would be great.